I think Kirby has finally opened it up with JT Daniels. That's a quote from Mark Schleybaugh, a guy who covered Georgia for a long time. Went to college at Georgia when Kirby was there, actually, too. Writer for ESPN. Mark knows quite a bit about Georgia, the conference, and sort of his, where things are in the universe. I want to talk about this for a little bit here. There's been so much discussion, including on here, about JT Daniels, what he means for Georgia's football program coming into 2021, etc. But to Mark's specific point, which is that Kirby has finally opened it up with JT Daniels. I've talked about this a lot. I'm not going to stop talking about it. This has been something that Georgia's been trying to do for a while. It's just that the quarterbacks before JT Daniels were not ideal candidates to, quote, open it up. Dean Legge from Dawg Post, making you a smarter Georgia fan, encouraging you to go over to dawgpost.com where we talk about all this sort of stuff every single day. You don't have to filter through comments or deal with social media. Dawgpost.com, DAWGPOST.com. Jake Fromm was a very good college quarterback. He just was not a dynamic college quarterback. When you would talk to other coaches around the league who were not at Georgia, they would tell you that he wasn't the guy that scared them. That didn't scare them at all, really. And then you go to Stetson Bennett, someone who was very good for a time, a couple of games. He was very good against Auburn and pretty good against Arkansas in the second half. He made plays against Tennessee, but just not the right person to blow the lid off of this Georgia offense. You enter in JT Daniels, someone who has got a very good weapon on his arm, and someone who has started for a full season at USC before coming to Athens, and things just clicked. That is the most noticeable difference between what has been the case with Kirby and his quarterbacks previously and what you've seen now. And Georgia, I think, is going to be getting ready to try to, 350 yards of passing each game or more. That is going to be the way that they play. And when you think about the 2020 season and the time that JT Daniels had as the starting quarterback, that was something we hadn't seen a lot from quarterbacks in the past at Georgia. When you think about, Jacob Eason, yeah, they asked him to do a lot at times, but he had a hard time because he was a true freshman. Jake Fromm, you fast forward to the next year, they didn't really ask a lot from Jake until the end of the season. So in the meantime, though, they were recruiting guys like Dwan Mathis, Justin Fields, Carson Beck, Brock Vandegrift. They've been trying to get to become more explosive in more ways, but they, and this is going to be talked about all the time, they stuck with Jake Fromm when Justin Fields was on scholarship. And at the time, that made sense. Let me tell you, it made sense. No, looking back on it, if you think they should have pulled the trigger on Jake Fromm in 2018, I just don't know what to tell you because, you're not really living in reality. But moving forward, Justin transfers, and then all of a sudden you have multiple quarterbacks come in. Stetson, Jamie Newman, JT Daniels. And so the future of Georgia was going to be more explosive down the field. When Daniels gets in there, it's a different offense. It's not side to side, it's vertical. When Jake Fromm was the quarterback, it was more side to side. I'm just looking real quick here at JT Daniels having, in 4 games at Georgia, having 3 of them be 300 yards or more passing the ball. 3 out of 4 games, he's going to throw for 300 yards. And you don't usually lose when you're that productive. And I can't go back to every single one of Jake's games, but I'm not aware. I don't think he had very many 300-yard passing games. Basically his comfort level was anywhere between 200 and 300 yards. He did not have a 300-yard game his final season at Georgia in 2018. He had a 300-yard game against Alabama, 301. Georgia loses that game. He had in 2017, which was his, coming out party, he had one game against Missouri with 326 yards. Well, Kirby saw in 2017, 2018, that really 2016, 2017, with what Alabama was doing, what Auburn had done, that you could really weaponize the quarterback position in a way that Georgia wasn't doing. Their way of winning was running and playing really good defense. Well, college football changed by the time that Kirby took over to 2019 for sure, and the quarterback had to be a weapon. Justin, Jalen Hurts, Tua, Joe Burrow, all these guys were weapons at quarterback. Deshaun in 15-16. And then obviously Trevor, too. I'm leaving Trevor out, who was certainly a very gifted player. JT Daniels does not have the running capability of those guys. He's not going to get on the ground and run like that. But when you look at those types of numbers, they're pretty impressive. I mean, 392 against Cincinnati, 299 against Mizzou. He only threw it 27 times against Missouri with 16 completions. I mean, that's some real high dollar averages. Obviously didn't throw it at all against Carolina, 139 yards, and then against Mississippi State, the coming out party, with 401 yards. At SC, he only had three games at SC where he had over 300 yards. That was against Notre Dame, UCLA, and Texas. So brand name teams. But at Georgia, JT Daniels has become a better quarterback. I mean, that's just all there is to it. And to take this offense to the next level, as Mark Schlabach puts it, I think Kirby has finally opened it up with JT Daniels. Kirby's been wanting to open it up. He just hasn't really had the right quarterback to do so that was starting. And that's made all the difference in the world here lately. Now, how good JT will play coming into this 2020 season, I don't know. I mean, you're starting off with Clemson, who has a really good defense, or at least has had a really good defense on paper for a long time with Brent Venables, and they just got scorched by Ohio State. Yeah, but, will they be back? And even if they are back and are a good team, do they have enough to stop what is going to be a potent Georgia offense? I was talking to a different assistant in the SEC the other day, and they asked me, do you think this is the most powerful offense that Georgia's had in recent memory? And the 2012 team could score really quick. 2007, 2017, those two teams were also very quick scoring, but the 12 team could score by throwing it. And I think that's what you're going to see this fall. Is JT Daniels going to be as good as Aaron Murray in terms of orchestrating an offense up and down the field? I don't know. But to Mark's point, I think Kirby's finally opened it up with JT Daniels. Let's talk about this more over on Dawg Post. Go to dawgpost.com right now. We'll see you over on the website.